Hey, it's Clayton and Jack.
Hey.
And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 3 blocks that are stopping him from falling in love. And just a quick caveat with this video. We are not making this to put any blame or shame on your side of the fence. The point of this video is to help you become conscious of the things that you may unconsciously be doing that are actually getting in the way of a really deep, intimate bond from forming between the two of you. And another thing too, as we go through these 3 blocks, we're also going to give you a quick solution and a way through the block so that you can foster greater intimacy with the man that you're with. And one more point too, there is an equally long list of things that men are doing that are blocking women from falling in love with them. But since you're most likely a woman watching this video, we want to focus on the things that you can do on your side of the fence. So
awesome.
Let's jump into the first one.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
so the first block is not supporting his autonomy. So I want you to remember this, that before you get into a relationship with a guy, maybe you are in a relationship with a guy, maybe you're dating, or maybe you're single, but before you get into a relationship with a guy, he has a life. He has things that he likes to do, hobbies, he's perhaps working hard on his mission or his career. And he's going to want to continue to do that whilst he's in a relationship with you. You know, oftentimes actually as a man, like your direction in life is the most important thing to you. So what we're encouraging you to do is to not go up against that, is to not take it personally that he might have some needs for autonomy. And by the way, you have them too, whether you're acknowledging them or not. So sometimes this gets labeled as like being high maintenance.
Yes.
Right? If you're high maintenance, you're pressuring him into things, you're cajoling him, you're perhaps beating up on him a little bit, criticizing him, trying to make him spend more time with you, trying to make him put more attention on you. And it's actually possible to have both. It's actually possible for a guy to be in his autonomy, focusing on the things that are of value to him, and also giving you his undivided presence and coming from a place of where he actually wants to do that.
Yeah. And so the key here is if you can identify with this and you've noticed that maybe you have been pressuring him or there has been some of this cajoling that's been happening, the key is to begin to move more into trust. Trusting him that he can handle things on his own in his life in an autonomous manner. And also trusting that even though the two of you may not be in connection all the time, that it's not going to compromise the relationship. That in fact, maybe him being able to go into his autonomy will actually allow him to have more appreciation, more desire, and more of a yearning to come back into connection, right?
I always find that.
There's a concept that I remember hearing a long time ago, maybe like 10 years ago, and it's give your partner the gift of missing you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like, and we often get into the relationship after the dating phase, and it's like, how do you keep that honeymoon phase alive? Well, I would say that one component is being able to go back into autonomy and having that space and then come crashing back into each other again.
Totally.
So the more comfortable you can be with yourself, the more that you can be comfortable with him being himself, the more you will begin to solve this first block around it.
Yeah, and just a micro thing, the answer to not cajoling is actually making a request. Right? So rather than trying to get what you want by poking and prodding and manipulating, is actually to say, hey, there's something I want. Can you give it to me, yes or no?
Yeah.
Clean it up.
I love it.
All right, take us into number 2.
Okay, so number 2, the second block that's stopping him from falling in love is if you are in competition with him. Now, what does that mean to be in competition with your partner? Well, it can show up in a number of different facets. I've seen it show up in terms of intelligence. Maybe you're thinking that you need to be as intelligent as your partner. Maybe you are thinking you need to be as good looking as your partner. Maybe you're thinking that you need to make as much money as them. Or perhaps you're competing with them physically or athletically.
In your career,
Or competing socially.
Yes,
right? All of these things, what ends up happening is it creates a win-lose scenario in your relationship. In a relationship, a partnership is really about aligning yourselves on the same team. And a competition, in many ways, is actually putting the two of you on the opposite sides. So if you find yourself competing, what is the solution to this? First, I'm imagining becoming aware of where you might be competing with them. But then you said something off camera earlier that I thought was a really awesome word that seems like a solution to this. What do you start to do?
Well, the answer is complementarity, right? Which is a little bit of a long word, but what it really means is that we can trust that we complement each other and that we're both unique. You have some unique strengths, I have some unique strengths, we may have some of those in common, we may have them in difference. But then we get to occupy our own true, authentic selves and see that they can play together rather than one having to be better or worse. If you're not doing that, you're basically in a superior-inferior dynamic, right? Because even if you love competing, you love it when you win, right? But you probably don't like it when you feel like you're losing. So your whole life, you're keeping score. Am I higher? Am I lower? Am I better? Am I worse? Am I superior? Am I inferior? That's your ego.
And that's exhausting.
Yeah.
What an exhausting way to be in a relationship is
Totally.
constantly
And exhausting to be on the other end of as
oh
well,
my God.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And this I can see happen with two driven individuals.
Totally.
So being able to slow down, see where you are in competition and take the foot off the gas, even, hell, let your partner win, right? And just allow that to be and see how that feels and realize that maybe they're not going to love you any less.
Totally.
In fact, maybe it'll allow the two of you to come even closer together.
Totally.
Try that one on.
Yeah.
So do you want to take us into the third?
All right, so the third block that you can remove from having him fall in love with you is actually the inverse of point one. So point one, we were talking about kind of being high maintenance, so to speak.
Yeah.
This point is about being low maintenance. And when we say being
too low maintenance.
being too low maintenance, right, that you're actually not honoring yourself, you're disavowing your needs, you're not claiming your desires, you're not having your voice in the relationship.
Right.
And sometimes I think there's a perception that guys like this, and there is a part of this that guys like, right? Guys tend to want to, get into action and get kind of stressed about things they're doing, and then they tend to want to empty and relax and be free of hassle. And so sometimes if a woman meets you there, it's like, oh, okay, that's great. She's allowing me to relax. Here's the challenge, is that quite often, in my experience, both from my personal life and my working life, and coaching women, the low maintenance woman doesn't get the guy.
Yeah.
So why is that?
Yeah. Okay. So just looking into my own life, and I'll give you just the impact that a low maintenance woman has on me. My first impressions of it are it does the opposite of number one, which is where I don't necessarily feel pressured, which is wonderful because it feels like there's this kind of going with the flow. But after a little while, if she's too low maintenance, I actually start to trust her less because I'm wondering, wait a second, what is it that she needs?
Right.
And why isn't she communicating it to me?
Right.
Because I start to actually get suspicious of whether or not she's really honoring herself, or whether now it's my responsibility to both honor me and try to figure out what it is that she wants so she can be happy. And another way of talking about this is if you notice yourself turning into a chameleon,
yes.
right? You might end up falling into the camp of being too low maintenance, or trying to be the cool girl, or the one where it's like, yeah, I don't have any needs and everything's fine and I'm going to go with the flow. But that does
it's just not real.
It's not
basically,
real.
Yeah. You're going asleep to yourself.
Right.
And over the long term, that's not going to work.
It doesn't inspire a man to actually. It doesn't offer a man a reflection of how he can become a better man in a relationship or even in life. So you having some needs and being able to express those maturely and owning your experience and being able to stand up to him in a way that continues to keep the love and the respect intact, it's a powerful way that you begin to move from being low maintenance into having, I would say, like the proper level of maintenance where you're taking care of yourself and you're being able
on
to
a
ask
self,
for
on
what you need.
another.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So
if this has been interesting to you, then you're going to want to check out a webinar that we're running, and you can click the link below this video and you can find a time in your time zone that works for you. And in this webinar, we dimensionalize much more than we have on this video, 2 particular archetypes and roles that women fall in that will continue to block love from a man, that will continue to stop you being yourself and being loved for who you really are. And that ultimately is the reason that we do this work, is to allow you to be yourself and be loved. So we'd love for you to join us. We've had rave reviews about this. It's some of the best content we've ever put together. It's 60 to 90 minutes. It's jam-packed. It's free. So join us there.
Click the link below this video. Select the time that works for you. And we will see you on the webinar.
See you there.